Hello and welcome back to my channel, Crafty Concepts with Erin. Today we're going to make 3 cards with classic card designs, but today we're going to make them manly in honor of Father's Day. So here on my desk is the classic alphabet thin cuts from Close to My Heart, and these are awesome. You can see the numbers as well as the capital letters. And for our first card, we're going to spell out the word Dad. Now I only have one D, so I'm going to have to run it through twice, but that's not a big deal. Just making sure this is going to fit on my card panel that I've trimmed down to 5¼ by 4 inches, and I'm using my Post-it removable tape to adhere these into place, and just like so. And again, I'm going to run this through twice and I'll be right back. And you can see we have the negative as well, so go ahead and save those bits and pieces for another card. So I've cut these out of the sapphire cardstock, and then I have a piece of white daisy. I'm going to use the new tags and tabs thin cuts, and I've already gone ahead and cut out a bunch of tags, 3 tags from the pattern paper in the Aurora collection. And this is a very masculine color scheme, and the patterns on here are perfect. So we're going to make a Father's Day card. And I'm going to put the 2 kind of lighter toned ones to the edge, and then this green plaid in the center. And you'll notice I've staggered the heights. So then we're going to spell out our word Dad right across the center there. And I'm going to use liquid glue because that's going to allow me to wiggle these into place and get them just lined up. I probably should have used my T-square ruler, and that would have been helpful, but I just went ahead and eyeball it. I do that a lot, and it usually turns out just fine. So using my tweezers and the Tombo mono liquid adhesive works really well. And we'll get this last one tacked into place there. And yeah, I went ahead and put the adhesive on the wrong side because it's 2-tone cardstock. So I'm like, oh no. I just took a quick baby wipe and wiped that off, and it actually turned out perfect. It wouldn't have been a big deal to die cut another letter, but I was able to salvage it. So we've got our letters into place, and I'm going to put a block to hold that down. Now I have another piece of pattern paper that I've just cut into a strip. This is the Constellation pattern paper from the Aurora collection, and that just hides those uneven tag edges on the bottom and just kind of visually anchors it. So I'm punching holes in the tag because I'm going to add a few brads for my stash, just to add some metal, a different element to this card for some texture. I like to use my paper piercer to bend over those ends on the back side. And now we're going to add more to our sentiment. So I am stamping "You're the Best," and this is from a retired stamp set. It was actually one of the previous stamps of the month called From Me to You. So I thought this is perfect for a Father's Day card. So I've just stamped it in sapphire, and we'll tuck it under the word Dad. So now it says, "Dad, you're the best." And inside we'll stamp "Happy Father's Day." But I thought this looks really cute down there. So I'm going to apply some adhesive backed fun foam just to pop this up and give it some dimension. And we're going to adhere this to I have the white cards and envelope value pack. So this I'm showing you is the Say It in Style stamp, and this is from the core catalog, and I use it all the time. And you can kind of mix and match. So I've combined the word happy with Father's Day, and again, just stamping that Happy Father's Day on the inside. And then we can go ahead and put our front panel together here. So when I use the foam, one side is adhesive, but we need to apply adhesive to the opposite side. So I like to use a tape runner and the liquid glue just to make sure it stays into place, and that does seem to do the job well. So now I'm just getting this centered. You'll notice I cut it slightly smaller so we have a white margin around the edge there, and smoothing it down. So these 3 tags, this is a classic card design, and we could totally just switch up the colors and the pattern papers and use this for so many different occasions. So moving on to card number 2, I have some pattern paper from the Yesterday and Today collection. This is totally a masculine collection. It's online only because it's from a previous catalog. But I'm showing you I made a top folding note card from black cardstock. And then we need a little piece of vanilla, and I cut another tag out of the black cardstock as well. So I'm going to use the Aurora Cardmaking stamp and thin cuts. So all of these sentiments you can cut out with the banner. And then we have the two sides of the globe here. And what I'm going to do is cut this out of our gold foil paper, and it just looks amazing. I love cutting this out of the foil paper. So I'm trimming down a piece just large enough, and I'm going to go run this through my die cutting machine. And there, you can see how cool that looks. So I'm going to go ahead and tape this little kind of a grid paper background to my black card panel here. And now I want to add some texture and distressing to this piece of vanilla. I'm actually misting it down lightly just so it doesn't tear when I crumble it up. If you moisten the paper, you can really wad this up and it's not going to rip. So just lightly mist it. You don't need to saturate it. Wad it up and then kind of smooth it back out. Now I'm going to use an inking tool and just add a little bit of toffee ink. And I don't want it to cover the whole thing evenly. I want it to look distressed and old. So I'm just applying this kind of randomly around the edges, and it picks up those creases on the top of the paper there. Okay, so that looks really cool. And now we're going to put this card together. So I should have waited for that to dry, because when I was running my tape runner over it, it started to kind of tear the backside. But if it's dry, it won't do that. So I'm putting this at an angle on my card, and then I'm going to layer my tag on top of that. I do want to add just a little, this is some jute kind of burlap twine from my stash. I actually got it in a gardening section somewhere of my local hardware store. So I'm just separating out the layers or strands of the twine so we have more, a fuller top at the tag there. And we're going to put everything kind of layered together, kind of, angled, and just kind of a carefree vibe here. We don't want things too tidy. So I think I'll balance this out by putting the globe kind of off to the right there at an angle. Put a block on that so it has time to dry. And then I'm going to go ahead and stamp the banner here. This one says, "You mean the world to me." So I thought this would be a nice sentiment for Father's Day. And so we're going to go ahead and use black ink to stamp the banner portion on a piece of scrap vanilla cardstock here. And I'm going to end up making several of these. So I'm just going to go ahead and do all my stamping at once and stamp out several of these banners. And then for my sentiment inside, I'm actually going to heat emboss that. So we want to use our anti-static pouch and then our VersaMark ink. This is a very sticky ink, and it's perfect for embossing. So we'll just right in the center there, everything lines up perfectly because you can see. So I love about clear stamps. We'll do all three and then go ahead and bring in my gold embossing powder. We'll give this a good sprinkle and layer everything up. Tap off the excess and make sure it looks good. I see a little bit of powder, and so I'm going to bring in a tiny fine tipped paintbrush here and just kind of clean up any areas where I don't want the powder. And then I'm going to go ahead and heat set this. Now I like to heat set it from the back when it's a very intricate design like this, because it's not going to disturb the powder at all. Sometimes you'll get little bits of powder that if you heat emboss from the top, and the back eliminates that. So now I'm ready to punch these banners out with my die cut. So we'll tape that into place. And I've gone ahead and run that through my Spellbinders Platinum 6 die cutting machine. I'm using a little adhesive foam. I just tore off a few pieces on the back, and then we'll kind of lower or put this on the lower half of the card. And our inside's black, so that would be difficult to write in. So we need to add a piece of vanilla cardstock as well. So I'm showing you again the Say It in Style stamp set. And again, we're stamping that Happy Father's Day. Now I didn't put the foam underneath, and that did not come out very well because there's imperfections in my table. So that's okay. We flip it over and stamp it again, and no one will ever know. Perfect. So we'll go ahead and get this centered inside of our card there. And now they have a place to write their sentiment. Okay, so here's our second card. I love the industrial vibe and the distress techniques that we incorporated into that card. For card number 3, I've gone ahead and used our largest of the stitched rectangle frames and cut out a piece of pewter cardstock. And again, back to that Aurora collection, I've gone ahead and used our stitched brackets there. This is the largest one. I love the stitching detail on all of these thin cuts. So here is again the opposite side, and I've already gone ahead and punched out, this time in this silver foil paper. And so what we're going to do is I have the Strokes of an Artist stamp, and this is a great way to add some texture to your cardstock and just add a lot of interest. So you could do this with a paintbrush and all that mixed media stuff, but this is just quick and easy, turns out great every time. So I love the Strokes of an Artist stamp set. It's a great tool for your collection. I'm just eyeballing how long I want this little border strip over here, and then we're going to dovetail the end. You just cut up from the middle and then from each corner, and it turns out perfect almost every time. So I have the word dad. This is from a retired alphabet stamp that I have, and we're just going to stamp that right there on our stitched panel. And I'm ready to adhere all these pieces down to my white card base. So first that pewter with the Strokes of an Artist stamp, and then we can adhere our little strip of paper. This is 1 3/4 inches wide. And then we're going to layer up the opposite side so that it's plaid on one and that beautiful peacock on the other. I've already gone ahead and stamped the same sentiment that we used on the last card. You mean the world to me. So this time it'll say, read, Dad, you mean the world to me. So we're just spreading the glue out a little bit there. And I really like the way the silver foil paper looks with these colors. Again, I've applied that adhesive foam, and we'll just kind of get this situated into place. And we don't want to forget the inside, so we will stamp Happy Father's Day on this card as well. And there you go. Okay, so there's card number 3. I really like the way this one turned out with the color scheme that we chose, and it's just a really pretty yet masculine card. So remember, we created 3 Father's Day cards, but these are all classic card designs that you could switch up the sentiments and the color scheme and really create just about anything. I wish you all a very happy Father's Day weekend. I hope everybody has a wonderful time. And thank you so much for watching. Here's more videos that you will find inspiring. Be sure to click subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.